Hello everyone. Thank you for listening my research something like research progress or something like disseminations of the research. So I would like to look. This is what become the title for our research. This is the pemodelan data warehouse untuk operasional petugas pemadam kebakaran pada Dinas Pemadam Kebakaran DKI. This is a title in Indonesia. So this perspective of the research, I would like to share to you about how to model the database, particularly for data warehouse model design. This is for the officer operational for five-factor, particularly for the five-factor in DKI Jakarta. So the English paper for this paper, the title of this is Data Warehouse Design for Five-Factor Operational at Fire Department of DKI Jakarta Province. So the purpose of the research, I would like you to share the glory of the data warehouse. If you look at the data warehouse, we have to look at the different, there is some what we call the OLTP, or sometimes this is something that transactional processing system, or TPS. This is something that the activity, day-to-day activities, where our system, they can have direct connection with the users. So based on this, we have to make sure that our database model should be having what we call the normalized database. Everything should be normal in normal. However, in some other case, we have what we call the data warehouse. Sometimes we call the online article processing. So we have to think about the unnormalized database. So based on this case, I would like to show to you, we try to model two different data warehouse designs for the perspective of the five-factor operational at Fire Department of DKI Jakarta Province. So the data, it will come from what we call the website. This belong to the province of five-factor data Jakarta, and data Jakarta Co-ID organization. So this is the website that we can download all the public data sets regarding with the Jakarta five-factor. So based on this link's website, I got the data such as like this. I would like to share to you. So this is the example, all the data. The source data, they belong to the five-factor in DKI Jakarta. And if you look at here, we have what we call the data table fire vehicle. This is the in Excel file. We have the number of fire station, the address, RT, RW, kelurahan, kecamatan, part number, and then the information, the phone number. Then we have some other Excel database as well, what we call the fire hydrants. The position of the fire hydrants, the location kecamatan, city area address, the latitude and longitude, and the positions of the fire hydrants. And then of course, based on that, we have some other data, two other data tables, such as data table of fire department sector force. So this will show up what kinds of the data, the parts of the post fire departments that are available in Jakarta area. There's a sector name, kecamatan, kelurahan, building names. And then the last table, we have fire department Kasi, what we call as chief of each fire department. So let's say in the kelurahan Dudipulo, sub-district, kecamatan, sector. So the name of the chief will be like this: Ngono, Syafruddin, etc. So based on these four table data set, we try to create the model of the OLTP. So based on that, we got the database OLTP. So this becomes day-to-day activity business based on those four Excel table database. So why? in this case, we try to create each of the Excel table database, Excel file become one table database. If you look at here, the fire vehicle, that's a connection with fire department sector post, where each of the fire vehicle can have one connection with fire department sector post, and one record in fire department sector post can have one to many fire vehicle here. And then of course, in one fire department sector post can have one to many fire hydrants. And then of course, each of the fire hydrants can be located in one fire department sector post. And of course, we have a relation for fire department sector post will be related one-to-one with fire department KC as a chief for the organization. Then, based on this, we try to build two model designs here. I would like to share to you. This is where I want to call the glory of the data warehouse. So if you want to create your model data warehouse, which one become the preference for you? You can choose between, let's say, how many fact table, do you need the dimension table or not? So it depends on you. If we learn back to the concept of the data warehouse, we have a star schema data warehouse, we have a fact constellation data warehouse. Yeah. So next, this is the first idea for the models of the data warehouse. Yeah. If you look at here, we have three fact table here. Yeah. The fact table. Yeah. The fact hydrant to represent the number of the hydrants in the DKI Jakarta, and then we have fact sector post. This will represent the number of sector posts in Jakarta. Yeah, and then of course we have fact vehicle. Yeah, this is the numbering for the number of the vehicles. Yeah, start with the plate number, body number. So this become the representation of fact table, and then after we have a fact table, we try to make some other dimension data, dimension table. So let's say we try to build the dimension table city, where each the dimension city will connect with each the fact table. For example, the fact hydrant will have relate to the dimension city. Yeah, of course. If the factor will be located in one city, yeah, could be in another city. Of course, the same with the factor sector post, yeah. And of course, each of the city will have the stations, yeah. So the same with the dimension of state, the fact vehicle will have the location of the dimension that belong to each the station. Of course, each station can have many vehicles. For the fact sector post, will have one Kasi dimension. So based on this interest, we look at the glory of this model design. If you look at, we have a three fact table here. We try to create the models based on the number of what we can call the fact the table. So each of the report can be created from one fact table, and most of the cases one fact table can have one more reporting. So it's depend on you how you're gonna organize your data warehouse model. On the second model design, we just only dealing with the fact table, so we don't need the dimension table. So in this case, we try to create the models without the needed to implement the dimension table. So if you look at the previous model, this is something that we call is look like more normalized, because there is some relation between the fact table and the dimension table. However, if you look at here, the second model, there is no dimension, so there is no relation among the dimension table and the fact table. So if you look at here, the difference with the first model and the second model, of course, you need the high cost for making the relation in terms of your SQL statement, SQL running in your database. Yeah. So in this case, you don't need to make the relation. So when you try to create the report, you just call each of the fact table based on the need of each fact table. And if you look at here, this is the time formation